Hi, I'm Mikayla from MadeItMikayla. We are sitting down today to talk about market tips and answering your FAQs. So for context, I've been doing pop-up markets for almost 3 years now. I started in San Francisco and then I moved to Tucson, Arizona, and I've been doing them here for 2 years almost. And we've been doing them almost every weekend since being here. So I've done around 80 markets in total. Okay, so let's start with the first question. What's the value of markets for your business and what do you get out of them? So for me, markets are a huge part of my business now, especially because this is my full-time business. So it's a big part of what I do and it helps me find my customers in person. I get to meet everybody in real life and talk to my customers face to face. And then I can see like what does well, what do people like? What do they want to see from me? It's also a good chance to create social content. I film a lot of videos and share some market tips on my Instagram as well. And it's also a chance to show off my products as if I had like my own store, which would be a goal one day. Sometimes it's hard to just sell online e-commerce, so pop-up markets are a great way to get your name out there, get your brand recognition, and I noticed that I get like repeat customers from there, or I'm able to give my business card at the markets and then people can order online later. It's not always about sales that day, it's just about networking and getting your name out there every chance you get. Now that I've been doing it for 3 years, I can't imagine not doing them. Like they're a huge part of my business. I'm always thinking about ways to display my products, what new products I can bring, what people want to see, stuff like that. So it's super helpful. What is your overall strategy for markets and how do you choose your markets and how often do you go? In Arizona here where I am, it's very seasonal here, as in there's a summer, there's a winter, there's a spring, fall. Like you can really feel the weather here, and so a lot of markets happen in the fall, winter, and spring for us, and there's really not much in the summer here. There's also not like indoor ones as much, which I would think there would be. But yeah, so season does matter here. It depends where you live also. Like when I was in San Francisco, when I was in California for the first year of my markets, it was pretty year-round because the weather's year-round there, kind of. Like it's consistent weather there. There are also large versus smaller markets, and there's also like farmers markets versus makers markets, and so it depends what you make for choosing like which market you want to do. Like I tend to do a lot better at makers markets, of course, because my stuff is artwork and products, and so I've actually never even tried a farmers market. I'm scared of how that would be because people would go there for buying food versus buying art, and so you can think about like which market is marketing towards which kind of audience and which audience is your audience, if that makes sense. Yeah, so we've been doing them almost every weekend. I do plan to slow down in the summer though. I did them last summer and it was really hot. And I also have my graphic design commissions this year more, and so I'm gonna focus more on that in the summer and also just work on stuff during the summer, preparing for the winter rush and all that. For choosing markets, I would say you can look for like how they market the market online. Like, do you see ads for the market? Are the ads targeting more customers versus vendors? You want the ones that are targeting customers, because if they're just targeting other vendors, people might not show up to it. If you know about local events in your area, you can go check them out. That's also a tip, is like just to go as an attendee first and then see how it is, see if you like the vibe there, if your stuff would fit well there. How do you like to set up your market stall and how do Vistaprint products help you? So I have kind of my go-to setup now. If I need to do like a 6-foot table with my sticker board versus a 10x10 setup, I have kind of a go-to for those. So I like to do the L shape with 2 tables for my 10x10 and then having my sticker board in the top or like the front corner. Just so it kind of catches people's eyes with the sticker board and then it draws them into the tent with my tables. I also love having like the tent be kind of my store, my world, and you guys can just like walk into it. So I like the U shape, like the L shape, where you can walk into it versus like the outward facing and having the table like towards the edge of the setup. It's not as much as my favorite. Banners are the best way to get signage in my opinion. I have Vistaprint banners. I use a tent top banner, which is my favorite when I'm using my tent. That helps you stand out from the sea of like white tents and people will recognize your brand from that. Another one I get is the back banner, and I got an 8x4 banner, and it's double-sided because I know my back is exposed sometimes when I'm doing events with the tent. And so I got it double-sided so that people can see from behind me, like, hey, this one has like branding in the back. It's sort of different. And that one acts also as my backdrop. I also got an A-frame. That's probably my most recent signage from Vistaprint, and I love that one as well. I can either put it in the aisle if the event's like big enough, or I will put it towards the front, like the opposite side of my sticker board. And I also love how that looks too. It's so amazing. And that one's also double-sided, and you can change out the panels. Like, that's so awesome. Oh, and then my table, I have a table runner, and that one I also love if I'm using like, if I'm also doing just like the 6-foot and sticker board, the 6-foot table and sticker board, I like to just have some sort of signage on my table. That's always helpful too. I also get my business cards printed with Vistaprint. So these are what they look like. Here's like the front and back. Okay. I made it so that one side's kind of like a mini art print, and then the other side has all my info. And business cards are a must still. You would think like, oh, people are like online and stuff, but no, people still grab business cards. Another way I use the business cards are to write these thank you cards, and they are similar to my thank you cards here, if you can see. I made a mini version for my market people because this one is for my online orders, and then this one I will give to people in person. And then here's the back of my thank you card here. And then on the back of the market thank you card, I put like a QR code so you can see me at other upcoming events because I do them so often. So that's another way I use my Vistaprint business cards. And then I also use them to make care cards. So this is our Spammie care card. Whenever someone buys a Spammie buddy, I give them this card to remind them of the multiple uses that they can use their Spammie buddy. Sometimes I forget to give the card, but I'm getting better, don't worry. And then I also get these die cut stickers, and I give them out as freebies. You don't even have to like purchase anything. I literally just leave them on the table. You can come up, grab them, and it's a good way to get your brand out there. I have like my business name on it, my website there, and then my @ here for social media. And it's also just like a cute leash. So people love to grab these. I restock them all the time. So yeah, whatever you sell, I would recommend giving out little freebies. I do stickers because my stuff is like art related. So if you do other stuff that's like, of course, food would be a good example. If you make food, you can give a little food sample. I don't have that, so I do stickers. But I think no matter what industry you're in, you can also just do stickers too, and it's a good freebie. I also want to show you the packaging that I use at markets. Normally, I would just use like a craft envelope, a craft bag or envelope, depending on what it is. And then I got these sticker rolls with my logos on them, and I love this, from Vistaprint. And so for smaller, like just sticker orders, I will use like the smaller one, or if it's like a larger craft bag, I'll use the larger ones. So I love these. So convenient on the roll too. And then if it's like a bigger order, I will use these little bags. They open like this. Yay. And then I can put the more 3D items in here. And then it's also nice for them to carry this around. And then it has my branding on it and the green, and I just love it. It's so cute. And then if they have a really big item, I have gift bags, like premium gift bags. It's so cool. And so this is how that looks. And I got the full like printing, even the bottom. Ah, so cool. And I just put my pattern on it, and then one side has my branding. And I love these too because people can like pretty much just keep it in the bag if they're using it as like a gift bag, and then they can just gift this to their recipient, and it's perfect because a lot of my items are gift items. So, and then my most recent item I literally just got are these craft mailers. These also open kind of on the bottom here. And so it's not totally flat, so you could like stand stuff up in it. like this. This would be perfect for my new t-shirts. Got my branding on it. And a lot of my packaging, I try to go for the recycled option. And if not, like the recyclable option, because we are an eco-conscious brand as well. So you can still have cute packaging while being eco-conscious and sustainable. And then for all that packaging, I keep them nice and tidy behind my stall. And I use like a, what's it called? It's like an office. I don't know what it's called. You can like put papers in them and it has like multiple sections. I will show a clip, but I keep my envelopes, I keep my like packaging and baggies in there, and then the bigger ones like on the side. And then I'll keep the rolls next to them, and then my business cards, and it just keeps everything nice and tidy behind while I'm packaging orders. I don't know how people function without being organized behind their booth. It would drive me a little crazy. For my displays, I love using collapsible things and also wood things or secondhand things. Let me show you what I mean. So for my Spammie display and my notepads display, and you know, pretty much all my displays actually are collapsible wood displays, and it's so much easier to like pack your car with it. I'm also limited to like what fits in the car, so that's why we go for collapsible. The only thing that's not collapsible in my setup actually is the crates, and I did a video on that on Instagram, so you can check that one out. But I use these crates to build height in my setup. Yeah, I love that tip there too. So yeah, building height is a really good tip. Having stuff like flat on the table is hard to see far away, and so having height will really catch people's eyes from further away. And also like when they're browsing, you don't want the customer to just be like this looking at your stuff. You want them to just like be able to glance like this, you know. Also, branding really matters. I'm not just saying that as a graphic designer. Like, I notice you can like get people to recognize your booth right away based on like the colors you use and like the display you do. So people recognize my green right away, the green and the leaves and the wood. And so that's also a tip, a really good tip, is just to have consistent branding everywhere. My banners are green, my tablecloth is green. The other cloth that I use on top of my crates is green. My signs that I print out at home are green. My price signs, literally everything is green. Yeah, I'm green obsessed if you couldn't tell. But that means people associate my brand with green, you know? So that's a little psychology there. Sometimes I will also like to wear like branded merch that I got. So I have like a cap that says MadeItMikayla. I have a shirt that says MadeItMikayla. And I don't wear it to every single market because it might get repetitive, and I like to wear cute outfits. But if you just you feel like you want to wear your branding one day, you know, it's really good to have. And you look very official and authoritative when you wear your own branding matching your table, matching your booth. It's so fun. What is market day usually like for you? What do you spend a lot of time doing? Is it busy or fun or sometimes disappointing? That's a good one. Okay. So market days are really long. They take longer than you think because you have to pack the car either the night before or the morning of. I recommend the night before if you can. And then you have to drive to the event, usually around half an hour to me. Or if I'm going to like Phoenix, it'll take a 2-hour drive to get there. And then there's the setup time, which takes usually around, I'd say 1 to 2 hours, depending on the setup. So like the big 10 by 10 will take me 2 hours, and like just like a 6-foot table and sticker board will take me about 1 hour, a little less than that sometimes. And then there's the market, and that could be, sometimes they're 3 hours, sometimes they're like 5 hours, sometimes they're, I'd say the longest is probably 6 or 7 hours. And then there's the cleanup time, which takes between half an hour to an hour, also depending on the setup. I recommend having a system where you kind of know where your stuff is in your bins when you're packing up and stuff, because it could be like a puzzle and it's just faster if you know kind of where things fit and go. I'm also like an organized person, so that helps. But if you're not, I would recommend having some sort of system for that instead of just throwing stuff in to clean up as fast as you can, because next time you have the market, it'll be a lot harder to unpack later and set up. And then you have to drive home and then unpack the car later. Okay, so that's a whole day. I really enjoy markets. Just being out there and having like my own little area of products and stuff there is just always so fun to me. Even the slow ones. Each market will be different depending on like how much traction the hosts and other vendors can get. So did they do their job advertising or not? Is there enough foot traffic? Some markets I have been like non-stop checking people out, busy. Like those are the best, but also really draining, but super fulfilling. And then there's other markets on the other hand where it's so slow and nobody's shopping that like I'm just wondering if we'll even make the fee back sometimes, and why did I come to this one? And you just get all these regrets, but at the same time it's still another opportunity to meet new people, and so I feel like none of them are ever a true waste. If anything, you can use the slow ones to make content. That's what I do, instead of just sitting there like disappointed. It's also so fulfilling when you hear people be like, everything is so cute, and like all those comments. It's just like, you would never really hear it if you weren't doing a market or like having your own store. So like I feel like that's such a cool gift that we get as vendors. Definitely check the weather ahead of time. Another reason I avoid the summer markets here besides the heat is the monsoon season, and so I've luckily, knock on wood, never been caught in the monsoon season while vending. Like my stuff would get wet instantly probably, and I would cry. But that has not happened because I check the weather and I'm pretty good at protecting my stuff. Also, like the heat can damage your products too if you make like candles or stuff that shouldn't be in heat, you know, so depending on what you make, check the weather. For checking inventory, I use my iPad most of the time. Sometimes I use my phone for like the really small ones, but this one I can just do like this and then have my checkout stand like this, and I use Square for market purchases, and so I have my Square app on here. Let me show you that. And then I'll use like my hotspot on my phone to connect the iPad to that. Okay, it's loading. Okay, so here's how I set mine up. So I did kind of like each category that I have, and then I also have like the stickers that I have kind of based on categories too, because stickers are like a really easy, fast purchase for people. So that's what my Square credit card setup looks like. I know some people are also old school and they'll use like a notepad, and that's actually how I started out. My mom would help me take notes in a notepad and write down what people bought, and so later on I was able to switch to the iPad once I figured out I can use a hotspot, and it's just so much bigger to like see when you're like checking out people really fast. You can just click on the screen here versus your phone is like so small and you have to like scroll a little bit. And I have a lot of products, so it's so much easier on the iPad. What else would you tell someone preparing for their first time market, and what might surprise them? For beginners, I would probably recommend starting with a smaller market rather than the bigger ones, because it's an easy way to like dip your foot in the water, test out how it is for you, like just being able to like puzzle your stuff in the car and the bins and setting up and just being out there, like just getting a feel of that first before doing a big event. You definitely don't need to have every little thing figured out before you start your first one, but it does help if you look at other vendors' videos like mine, and we like to give you guys tips, so those are also really helpful to watch. And depending on what you sell, you can kind of brainstorm other display ideas, signage, and such stuff that you might need. Also, you might want to get a helper. I have actually never done one by myself. Booth Bay was looking at me. I've never done a market by myself, like fully. Like someone's always there. Booth Bay usually is always there to at least drive me to the event and help me set up and clean up. But I know a lot of people are solo vendors too, and they are on a whole nother level. Like, I don't know how they do it, but they're so amazing. But yeah, just having someone there also, if you need to like go to the restroom or get food or just take a break, is super nice to have as well. And if you don't have anyone at the moment, you can also make vendor friends, which is also why I like doing markets. You make tons of vendor friends and you can just talk to your booth neighbor right here, be like, hey, can you watch my stuff real quick? You know, and you can like talk about like how you guys make your stuff. You can do vendor trades, which I love doing too. You get to like trade like the old barter system. It's so fun. Which ones cost money to have an area? So each market does have a booth fee. Sometimes if you're lucky, they will actually be free to vend at, depending on what event it is, I guess, and how you found it. So I've done a few that had no booth fee because I was invited to it, and I love those ones because there's literally no loss to it. You are just spending your time being there. But yeah, they go from like, I'd say $30 to maybe $100 or $200, and then the really expensive multiple day ones are like $600 to $800. So depending on where you live and what area you're in, it can add up super fast. And no, there is no guarantee to even make the money back. Some people actually pay to be there, like they lose money and don't make that much money that they paid the booth fee for. They don't make that back in the event, and that's so sad. So there's always a gamble with that and the risk, and that's part of being a vendor, sadly. But I would say the risk is usually worth the reward. And like I mentioned earlier, it's not always about sales. It's about getting out there and networking and practicing, like talking about your products and showing them, displaying them. It's a whole thing. How do you contact those in charge of the vendors so you don't get scammed by those pretending to be the organizers? I guess you just check like social media and their website for like who's kind of in charge, or like what email you should be expecting an email from. I don't think I've really ran across any scam emails. Or if I do, they're like very scammy and obvious. Like you always, this is not even just a market tip, this is just a life tip. Like always check who the email sender's email is and make sure it's legit. You can always try messaging them on another account or commenting and being like, was I supposed to get an email from this person? And then seeing if the multiple accounts kind of line up. Like if you got an email, you can check with their Instagram and stuff like that. So just always cross-reference. How do you know what area is for you to set up in, or do you have a spot reserved? So that'll depend on each market as well. Some hosts will have a map and it's organized and you have like your spot assigned to you. I love those ones because you can kind of prepare like your setup based on the map. Sometimes you know the sun is facing a certain way and you don't want your products in the sun. You can put your table more back and stuff like that. So I like having a map. But if you don't, sometimes they are just first come first serve for having spots. Those are usually the smaller ones. So like the bigger events will usually always give a map. And then sometimes when you just arrive at the place, they will have like your name or the booth number just labeled on the floor, either in chalk or like on a printed piece of paper. So most of the time it's pretty labeled and organized, I'd say. Do you use your car to set up before you park it, or do you park your car and then move everything to the setup area? Again, depending on each market, some of them have like a designated load-in area. So you would pull up your car, load your stuff to your spot, and then move your car to park somewhere else so that other people can load in to that area. There's also some smaller events where you can park somewhere and just walk your stuff to the venue, or else if you're lucky, some events actually let you pull your car up straight to your booth spot and you can just unload right there and then go park later. They should tell you in the vendor details, in the event details, like what the parking situation is and if there's vendor parking. Does everyone take a second person to help them, or can they run the area by themselves? Okay, I touched on that earlier. I recommend, and I always had a partner to help me. Do you want to be in it? No. But if you don't, you can totally do it by yourself too. It's just a little more tiring, I would probably say. Not that I have experience with that, but I've always had family in SF to help me, or in Tucson I always had Booth Bay to help me. And I call him Booth Bay now too, so it's so funny. And then other people recognize him as Booth Bay, so it's really funny. It's a funny joke. But yeah, you can do it by yourself too. You would just have to watch your stuff and like be able to set up and move your car and all that by yourself. Any last tips I want to add to the video? Yeah, so depending on what you sell, you can prepare for events like months in advance or just days in advance. I think food people cook the food like only 1 to 2 days before the event. I don't know how they do that. That's crazy. I always have my inventory like ready to go because my stuff is just printed products and stuff, and so I always have some sort of inventory. I do have to like watch out for like what needs to be restocked and stuff, but yeah, it's so much easier to have inventory in my opinion. And yeah, your setup will always change. So even though mine kind of looks the same throughout time, like the little placements and details will change. I feel like I'm always making new signs and stuff. My most recent sign is like the no AI sign. So yeah, I love that one. And then also having fun signs is like a nice, I guess like an icebreaker for customers to talk to you. Like they see my original artwork. The only AI I use is Adobe Illustrator sign, and then they like to point that one out. And then I talk about like how I draw everything myself, and I don't use any AI, of course. And I'm a graphic designer, so I'm used to Adobe too. I guess another tip would be you can always dress up to match your booth. So a lot of the time you will see me wearing green or leaves or something of that sort. And if not that, then my MadeItMikayla merch branded merch. If you kind of match your booth, people will notice that detail, and they even address it sometimes, and they're like, I love how you match your setup, and I love that too. Stay hydrated, wear good standing shoes because you stand a lot. Bring a chair if you can. There's tons of little tips I can give. If you have any more questions or tips you want to hear about too, you can leave them in the comments anytime. I respond to those. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you learned something, whether you do markets or are planning to do them in the future. And you will do so good. I believe in you. I'm rooting for you. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.